You're listening to the LaRocque Life Podcast, where hosts Michael and Laura explore relationships, adventure, freedom, and just some all-around real and raw conversations, drawing from their 17 years together with a bit of sarcasm, humor, tears, a few and lots of love. They deep dive into the male and female perspective on relationships and navigate the highs and lows of life together. Sit back, grab your love mug, and let's get into today's conversation.
I'll tell you later. Awesome. Episode 41.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we never talked about it. Usually you got to tell me what it is. What are we talking about, babe?
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about growing through it.
Okay. What does that even mean?
And growing through it is applying to anything. But it's my new life motto since Wednesday.
It's your credo?
No, today's Wednesday, since Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I've been using this hashtag for months now, and every time I type it out, I'm like, oh yeah, I like that. I like that. But Monday, it hit me that I was like, holy, okay, this is my life motto right now. Yeah. Because it sunk in and it meant something so much deeper to me. And I thought that it would be really cool for us to talk on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because where I'm coming from with it is we know that life is full of ebbs and flows, right?
You're talking to the king of ebbs and flows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a mountain range.
And so there's always going to be struggles. There's always going to be obstacles. There's going to be joy. There's going to be pleasure. There's going to be pain, right? All of the things, all the emotions, all the feels. But I feel like, I don't know, it's a little bit of society, social media, the maybe not media, but more so Hollywood, films and TV shows often portray that, life is good and we want to only, aim for and strive for those good feelings and the good times.
Right.
And I think that we neglect the struggle and the pain because it's really, really, what's the word? Wise. There's a lot of wisdom to come from pain and struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, we could go into the dark night of the soul, right?
Well, I'm reading a really good book right now. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's
You got a case of the Loras.
I'm looking at the book right now. No, but it's pretty much a bunch of quotes. 3/4 of the books is a bunch of quotes or speeches that a lot of old native Indian chiefs would say.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it does revert. They have it broken down into sections land, hunting, family, different things, right? But a lot of it does revert back to struggles or just coming of age things, passages or rites of passage that you have to make from a boy to a man and different things. And at 100%, you need that struggle. That's what they'd said. They would send their send the young guys out into the bush and they'd have to live by themselves and fend for themselves and feed themselves and then come back. And then when they came back, they were able to really be part of the tribe, really contribute to the tribe and do different things, right? So 100%, there is a lot in that struggle. And I don't know, I think we're missing it now.
Totally, because we want instant gratification. We want pleasure, right? We're always trying to move through that or avoid it. And it's actually, now that you say that, that just reminded me too, that's been a pretty big topic that's been coming up between my clients, my one-on-one clients, and myself in our calls recently, because it's when they're not feeling good and they have this rush of emotions coming through them because we're stirring stuff up, right? And the emotions are coming up for them that they're I'm trying to make myself feel really good. I'm trying to move through this. I'm using my tools to try to feel better is essentially the topic. And I just kind of bring to them well, what if you're not meant to make yourself feel better? Yes, you want to move through these emotions and feel them, but at the same time, don't push them away. Don't rush them. Don't make them suppress them back down again or really rush them out of the way, because again, they're teaching us something, that it's okay to struggle. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry and all of these emotions that are coming up, because essentially we have to feel them to release them. Right?
Yeah, I remember you saying that one time, like lean into it or whatever it was. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the realization I had with this, grow through it. Because, okay, I'll talk about that with my clients. And when feelings come up, I'm really good at that. Like if I'm feeling something, I'm like, okay, like what's this teaching me? Where is this coming from? Is this even mine? What do I need to do right now? But when it comes to like experiences in my life, I realized on Monday that I'm not actually doing this.
Right.
I am trying to avoid or like not embracing the lesson in the experience. Or maybe not even that I'm not embracing the lesson, but that I could be learning a lot more about myself through it if I shift my perspective to that. Does that make sense?
No, that's fair. Like, you're trying to say like you almost protect yourself a little bit too, right? Like you're not, well, no, that's kind of not it either.
Yeah. Well, protect myself, I suppose, from having to have realizations about myself that maybe I'm like putting a wall up still, like totally ego.
No, that's fair. Fuck
100%.
Everyone. We all go through that, man. That's absolutely it. Yeah. I mean, I always try to hit that head on, but at the same time, there's so many times that I just like, there's certain things I wouldn't do. No, that's bullshit too, because I do kind of whatever now. Never mind. Maybe as I was growing up, maybe a little bit, just to like not stir the pot too much or whatever, right? But well, the whole time you've known me, basically just kind of do whatever, really, right? Aside from suppressing feelings with alcohol for so long and being emotionally unavailable and all the other fun stuff as a guy. But besides all that, but really just trying everything, right? That was always my big thing, is just fucking try it and do it and be it. Yeah,
but how were you with like when things feel shitty, or not even things feel shitty, but there's a shitty experience going on? Like, do you try to make it go away?
I'll stop. Typically, like, I mean, I try to equate it to like even work now or even work whenever, but it doesn't work either because I'm kind of loyal to a fault. I've only had like 3 jobs, but there is times where it's just like, fuck, it'd just be so much easier to quit. Or even like when I was really depressed, when was that, last year or whenever that was, year and a bit?
Yeah, no, it's year and a bit now. Coming up to almost 2. Oh yeah, year and a half. Yeah. Year and a half.
So I tried to quit work, right? Thinking that would be the answer.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah. Cause like I was just getting overwhelmed and feeling with that job too. I always put it on not a pedestal, but I just put it out there that it's not like, I shouldn't be doing this. I have no right to do this. It's for people with, university degrees and so smarter, whatever the fuck it is. Right. And then I really bought into that, and I talked myself into that. There's like, you're too fucking dumb for this. You're too whatever. So I talked myself into that and then tried to quit, and then realized like the people around me are like, you're really selling yourself short here. Like you're doing okay. I mean, obviously it could always be better, but you're doing okay. Right. So it took a little bit to buy into that. And ever since then, I kind of bounced back off of that, and it's been pretty good since. And I don't give up on anything that easy anymore. Yeah. I shouldn't even say that, because I toughed it out for quite a while before making that decision. But at the same time, like I won't quit. Be like, fuck that. I'll find something. I'll find a way to pivot off of that or do something, right? I won't just quit to quit, because I really want to go back to like comfort zone.
Yes, exactly.
That was my biggest thing. It's like so unsexy for you to hear all that shit all the time when I was in that, because I was like, I just want a job where I can go to work and come home and I don't have to think about it and not be all stressed out. But I mean, that's who we are. Like no matter any job.
And that is the masculine, right? Like to be challenged and to be on the edge, right?
You have to, right? And it's taken so long to finally embrace that, because like, I mean, how the fuck did I always try to figure that out. Like how was I running all these big projects and doing all this shit at like 23, 22, 23? Like why did I have to do that? And I always felt like it was almost felt like a burden. It's like, why me? Like I just want to fucking not care and just go to work and come home and like, fuck you guys, work's work. And Like, why do I always have to be the leader? Why did it always go on my shoulders? Why did I have to do this? But then once you start to embrace it, you're like, oh, like, cause I'm that person. Like, that's who I am. Maybe my past life, maybe I was something else, but now I'm here to be that leader. Right. So once I embrace that, then it goes a long ways.
Yeah, it's cool. It's because you had to like subconsciously catch up to where your feet were, right? Like I think in that depression.
Absolutely.
And, okay. So this is my prime example of trying to get past the struggle and just want to be there already, right? Like,
always, yeah.
I think, again, going back to this like whole instant gratification, like we want what everyone else has, or like, you know, what someone has that we say we want, like we want it now. We don't want to go through all of the pain and the struggle that they went through. We didn't even see the pain and the struggle that they went through, but they learned and grew so much in that pain and struggle to get to where they are today. But yet we think we can just wake up and be there, right? Without putting in all of the work, putting in the time, putting in the pain. And so
big time.
I think that that's like a prime example of what you're talking about. Like it was like your physical self was here in your job, like up high at this level, right? But your subconscious mind was still this like 13, 12, 6-year-old boy, like who knows, right?
Right.
Who couldn't see yourself in that. And it took you going through a deep depression and feeling all the feels and like quitting, but not quitting.
Yeah, that was the most fucked up situation ever.
Almost quitting.
Yeah, give your 2 weeks and then take it back. Like, can I have that back, please? But thankfully, I had people around me that let that happen. Yeah. Because if they were very egotistical or anything, it would be like, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Like, you quit on us, fuck you.
You were right where you were meant to be, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that just goes to exactly what I'm saying. Like, you needed to go through that moment to like shed all of those beliefs and all that shit about yourself so that you could be at the same level of where you're at today. Like
there's still a lot there, 100%.
Of course.
But
are we ever? I mean, I think it's a lifelong journey, is it not?
Well, no, you always, or in my head anyway, I get that whole like, I should not be here. Or even this, for example, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Like this is for other people. Or like, why would anyone listen to me? And then even at work, right? It's like, no, that's for other people. I'm a worker. I'm just a whatever, right? Yeah. So it takes a lot to get through it. But I mean, every day you just gotta move on and carry on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so this is what I'm saying. Like, the more we resist something, like, fuck, you were depressed for like a year or a year and a half.
No, I was not cool to be around. That's for sure.
No, you were.
Well, I was, because I myself, and like I rode such a high coming off London, right? And then I was trying to keep that going, and then drug you over to fucking Vancouver to try to keep this going, and then realize I don't even know what happened, right? And it just had the wrong energy, and fucking pregnant wife. I should have been making like a nest for you and getting everything ready for you instead of so much uncertainty. And then I wasn't producing on that end, and it was like, so that really beat me up. And then I just could not fucking break it. It was so hard to get out of that.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is that we sit here now, a year and a half later, talking about that year and a half of depression, and we can see the lesson in it. We're like, oh yeah, we totally know why we had to go through that. We totally see it and all of that stuff. But the point of what I'm talking about is grow through it. Is if we can shift our perspective when we're in it,
right,
to grow through it, I think we can grow through it with so much more ease, still feel the pain and feel the struggle and get the lesson we're meant to, but it doesn't need to drag on for a year and a half. Maybe it's a week.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Or a month or whatever, right? Yeah. So because you resisted all of that so bad, right? And there's so many things in my life that I resist and have resisted. And then all of a sudden, like what I said, when this clicked on me, I was like, well, what if I just leaned in and I just surrendered to every struggle throughout my whole day, like from morning till nighttime, right? Like big, little, everything in between.
Right.
And what if instead of just like being upset or being like, oh, the computer is wrecked or whatever, instead of just leaning into it and being like, okay, what am I learning in this?
Right.
How am I growing through this? Right. Totally surrendering, giving it all up. And it's like way less struggle, way less stress. Like it doesn't really negate the fact that my computer could have been wrecked today.
Oh, that was a dirty old sign, eh? I hate seeing that.
Yeah, it was still very much potential. But at the same time, okay, so here's the deal. My computer has crashed before. Yeah. And then it's this big ordeal where like our computers are kind of old and then we have to take them in and get them fixed. Yeah.
But we're awesome.
talking super lovingly about that. They're really great, but they're just old. And so I've already gone through having to replace my hard drive. No. Not my hard
there was a hard drive and then there was a cable that like inside that was like, oh, they were fucked. But then they ended up fixing the cable and it worked.
Yeah, so he could actually save all my stuff. Yeah, because that wasn't a good one. But anyways, $300, $400, $500 later, I can't remember. It was fixed. But so today it was kind of looking like the same thing might happen. But because I had this realization just on Monday, I was like, it's fine. It's cool. We'll move through this. Like, what am I learning about myself through this? And eventually it came back on and we had that symbol, but it worked out. Everything came back and it's all good. And I was so proud of myself because I could have wasted an hour of being upset and going down all of these stories of, oh, now I have to drop $500 or even thousands on getting a new computer if it's beyond fixable now. And just all of the useless
it gets you nowhere,
waste of time.
When you're telling me this now, you're like, well, what a waste of fucking time, right?
Yeah, it would have been a waste of time, a waste of energy.
Lennox was there. Like you would have been missing out on you time, right?
Exactly. So instead I was just like, let's just wait it out. Like, let's just see what happens. And so, like I said, when I looked back at myself, I was really proud of myself because I'm like, cool. So what I learned in growing through that was that I just have a lot of patience now and I am not a jump to the worst case scenario type of person anymore because I used to be really good at that. Don't laugh so hard.
No, I'm sick of that fucking
jump to conclusions.
Yeah, jump to conclusions, Matt. Office Space, eh? That's the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. Anyway, sorry.
So yeah, I learned that about myself. But then there was like a few other things this week, and I won't go into extreme detail, but there's just this like a dental thing with Lennox that we've been dealing with for like a year that I've been beating myself up with and just like, or not beating myself up with, but over.
Right.
And just like, oh, I should have been on this sooner. I should have been a better mom. What is he lacking? He's lacking some sort of nutrient. This is all my fault. I should have known this when I was pregnant. Like, seriously, I can be a little bit hard on myself.
Slightly.
So on Monday, we had to go to the dentist with a 4-year-old who has suddenly decided that he doesn't like the dentist.
I know, he took it like a champ for
taking the dentist
before,
so
right?
well. Yeah, before and loved it. And so now we have to go to a specialist and probably get sedated or like, I don't even know.
But yeah, I was in there the last time and it was like, I tried everything and I'm surprised because, well, you were always like, be cool. So then I played it cool and then no blow ups, but it was just so.
See, you grew through it.
Yeah, I just wanted to grab something and stab, but no, it just fuck. It feels so bad for him and like
like something flipped for him, right? Mm-hmm. There's something to do with the dentist, and this is all besides the point. The point is that I was sitting in my car and I was like, fuck. Now we have to like go to the city, see a specialist, and like this all could have been avoidable. Did I make the right decision a year ago? Like all of these things. So then suddenly there was just like this flick, and this is where this came from. And I was like, but what if I just loved this whole experience, this whole last year? Because what has it taught me? Where have I grown? Like, I've become a better mom. I've learned to be less hard on myself. I've learned that I can't protect him and save him from every single little thing that the world is going to throw at us. And I think a part of it I was telling you too is that like, he's pure. Like he's so young and pure, and I've kept him so healthy. And
he's got more supplements and a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
that
like
guy.
To put fillings in his mouth. I'm like, oh, he's damaged. Like this.
He's damaged goods. Off with him.
I need him like so pure and clean. But like, I just realized how ridiculous that is. And it's like, we're humans in this, like in these human bodies living this crazy time that's full of toxins and chemicals and lack of this and lack of that as far as like nutrients and all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, and it's not my fault. It's my fault but it's not my fault, right? Like,
no, and we just got to keep him going as much as we can, because I love talking to him about like the before life and things like that, because he tells us, right? I mean, it sounds fucking way out there, and apologize for anyone that doesn't think that. But I mean, just talking to him, and he's like, yeah, like I was waiting for you guys, and like we chose you as parents.
One time he said, I always said, I want that one for my mom and that one for my dad.
Yeah. And just, like, I'm quite certain that is what happens. And we just forget about it, right? And no one nurtures at it when we're growing up. Or if someone, I'm sure, like when I said that, everyone's like, shut the fuck up. You're adopted. Get out of here. But I mean,
stork dropped you off.
Just to keep that going is amazing. So you're doing a great job, put it that way.
Yeah, we really liked it when he asks or says that stuff. We're like, oh, tell us more, right? Because it's really cool. I mean, even if you wouldn't believe in that and it's just a made up story, I think it's a pretty cool made up story. Like, good imagination, dude. But so I realized that, and you know what? It was so crazy, like just sitting in my car and telling myself that and being like, how do I grow through this? Like, what have I learned about myself? How have I changed? How have I become a better mom? How is this supporting me in being able to be his mom for the next 50 years, right? Like, I just learned so much about myself, and it was just like, wow. So when you lean into something and you love something for what it's teaching you, instead of trying to push it away and hating it and just resisting, it's just so much easier on the other side. Because now my body is like light, and I'm just like not tight and thinking, oh, I have to freaking call the specialist and then book this appointment. And then I'm all worried, like, what if he dies? These are where my thoughts go.
No, 100%.
So right? I was just like, he's not going to. We're going to get through this. It's just a tooth. Yeah. Like, we're going to get through this. And instead of just putting so much of my energy into it, now I can channel that energy into way better things that benefit us all around, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then to add to that, so after the dentist, you and I, so we kind of went through like a relationship thing, because you felt one way towards the whole thing and I felt another way. And me being like a recovering codependent who's like, my way is the right way, and like wanting to control you and also tell you that like, well, I don't think what you did is right. Like, and almost I could see how I was like wanting to tell you what's right, but I could see how that would come across as shaming. But I'm like, I don't want to shame you. So I just took some time away from myself, and I realized, and I did this whole like, okay, what is this teaching me? Like, how can I grow through this? How can we grow through this? And instead of there being a fight about me like telling you, and you can't say that to him, or you can't be like that to him, my way's the right way.
Right.
I was like, yeah, okay, so you're the dad, and you get to do dad things, and you get to have a dad relationship with him and a male relationship with him. And I'm the mom. And so I get to have the relationship that I want to have with him, and I get to nurture him and be the mom and the things that I want. Mm-hmm. And I don't need to tell you what you need to do with him. That's yours. Like, it's not mine to control. It's totally yours. And who am I to say that what I think is right? Right? I don't know what he needs in his life from you. You guys have that contract, not me.
Oh, totally. I mean, I definitely wasn't nice to him after. But at the same time, I feel like he needs some tough love, especially now. Like, he's getting old enough. I say that he's 4.
I know, and that's like
that's where that was one of them, right?
Our thing is, I'm like, he's an irrational 4-year-old. Yeah. But also, I get that it's like, well, if you don't start having a bit of tough love, where do you start? Like, do you just, oh, you're 7, it's your 7th birthday, here's your tough love.
Yeah,
like,
and I don't want to, like, just got to be an asshole all the time. You don't want to just turn into one. But I don't know. It's like, fuck, I'm an old man now. I can't believe what I'm saying even anymore. But it's like, I see everybody else, and like even young guys coming into work now and stuff. It's just like, fucking pains me. And there's so many people growing up not having that. And it's just like, I mean, not tough love, like throw them to a fucking wall, but just in the sense of like, you need, like, that's not cool, like what you did kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, essentially.
I don't know where you come from. We're like, it's okay. You can do what you have to. And I get that. I do. I understand that. And I do get that.
Well, and I think people who are listening are like, what the fuck are they even talking about? But essentially, Lennox went to the dentist, and he just like wouldn't even let the dentist touch him, wouldn't let him go in his mouth, like wouldn't let him do anything. And the weird thing about it is that he's let him do it all the times before.
Yeah.
And so your viewpoint is like, you wasted these people's time, like my time, their time. Yeah. You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. But then there's me over here who is like, how's he emotionally? He's probably traumatized. There's something wrong. You can't say those things to him.
Right.
But also here's like my dilemma. And I mean, I would love to hear anyone's input on this, because I'm like, okay. And this is what I said to you. This is like, it's so hard, because how do you say, this is your body. You're a sovereign being. This is your body. You're in charge of this. Do not let anyone do anything to you that you do not want them to do. Do not let strangers touch you. And then all of a sudden be like, you need to open your mouth for this man to put his dental tools in it. Like,
you know how many times I've heard it?
Yeah, I figured you're probably going to go somewhere with that. But you know what I mean? Like, and he's 4. Like, that's so hard to understand.
No, he's a fucking toddler, right?
Yeah.
Like
well, they're not toddlers. They're children.
Well, you can't rationalize that, or how the fuck's he supposed to know the difference? And that's my dilemma.
Yeah, and that's what I was like, oh, you have your own inner child wounds that you need to be working on.
Yeah, no. When that is, I feel like I'm just yelling at myself, like my own. Because I remember back in the day, I think going the exact same thing. I probably fucking exactly what he did. Like the dentist, like they got the freezing stuff in a little bit, but they couldn't get the needle.
No, just the numbing.
Yeah, the numbing stuff, right? And then like he pulled his cheek back a little bit to try to put the needle in, and that's where he is like, my stomach's sore, my neck's sore, fucking whatever else. And
it wasn't.
No. And at least he had like headphones and TV and stuff. Whereas like I was back in the day and like this old bastard doing it. But I was like biting the guy's fingers. He's trying to do it. So I could imagine. I think though I like got beat into submission and I had to get it done regardless, right? So that's, I'm like, I think I'm just reliving that. Through him, and it's like I'm doing the exact same thing, whereas like I still didn't learn that lesson, or at least, but again, like kind of growing through that now, and I'm realizing it, can step through it, right? So your theme is still reoccurring for sure,
right? And so that was Monday, so that was where this all stemmed from, but it's proved itself to me in these last 2 days. It's Wednesday. And I'm just like, oh my God, how did I not think of this earlier? But I wasn't meant to. So, you know, even for us to then have that conversation on Monday, because it could have, like, I would have got annoyed and then shut off and close down, because that's usually what I do, because I'll avoid conflict. So I'll just like get cold and not talk to you, but then be a bitch, like passive aggressively, right?
A little bit.
And so, but I totally didn't, because I was just like, this is stupid. Like, we're not the enemy, and this is what we teach people, and we're teaching them in our new wild course. It's like
fighting over each other for nothing, right?
Yeah,
like, what are we doing?
We are a team, and we're taking on the world together, right? Yeah. So I realized, I'm like, this is my old pattern. I'm gonna like make you be the enemy, and I'm gonna fight you because I'm upset. But instead I was like, well, I don't need to fight you. I just need to look inside and be like, what's going on? And so I did that. And when I had that shift, it was like everything changed, and we could have this conversation, because I came down here and I just said to you, like, all that stuff that I just said. I was like, your relationship is your relationship. This is how I feel. You feel. It's all good. It's all cool, right? I don't need to tell you how you need to be or should be with him or in general, right? And I was just like, this is this.
We played our roles, and we kind of did thankfully we're in this program now, right? And doing it and with the writing of it and getting through it, because we basically went through every one of those steps. Like, you were very much in your feminine. I was very much in my masculine in that. And then we were able to communicate through it after, right? Because we're stuck in those old patterns, like fucking verbatim. Like, it was like you could write a book. You could make like a comic book to it, and you could have each picture, and it'd be right there. But then obviously we had the skills to communicate through it. Yeah. Which normally 100% we would have fucking just shut down. I would have just shut down completely too.
The skills and the self-awareness, right? Like, I think that's kind of one of the biggest things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so let me just check my phone here to see if there was anything else I wanted to say, because it was like, really, instead of focusing on worst case scenarios, focus on growing through it. Instead of focusing on instant gratification, how can I focus on growing through this? And like I was just telling you right before this, that when we do that, I think we just let go of that resistance, and that's where the magic happens, because we're leaning in, we're surrendering. But we're also just like changing, I feel, the whole trajectory and almost like the illusion. I mean, everything in our life is essentially an illusion of whatever we believe it to be.
Oh, there's
right?
fucking glitches going on in the Matrix, 100%.
Right? And so when we're going down this one trajectory of when we believe life is a struggle and it's a pain and okay, here we go, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a trajectory that we're going to end up on. But in this present moment, if we're like, now how can I grow through this? What's the lesson in here for me? Like, how can I surrender and just make this as seamless as possible? I mean, I'm not saying painless as possible because it's still not always easy, but just as seamless as possible. It's like you just like turn that dial and now you're on a completely different trajectory. The universe starts like the illusion changes, right? The universe starts presenting different opportunities. Things do become easier because you're not meant to go through the struggle, right? Like a year and a half of depression. It could be a week of depression, a month of depression if you just surrender. What am I learning? What do I need to grow through this? How am I growing through this, essentially?
Yeah. Well, we had a fucking great case study of moping around for a year and a half. So.
And we would have never come up with Mopey Mike.
Fuck. It's pretty bad when I say that. Everyone's like, yeah, I can see that. It's like, fuck, how bad was it? Why didn't someone say something? But I know you did. No, like even people at work and shit, like, yeah, man, you're in tough shape. It's like, thanks, buddy. Thanks. You could see me getting fatter and whatever else too, right? So.
Yeah. But I mean, it's serious. Like
here we are.
And I think we should touch on that really quickly because there's a lot of people in that right now.
Absolutely.
Someone
and it was just
to this is in that right now.
And it was just mental health day the other day. And then, I mean, it's a very serious thing. And I didn't get any help really from anybody. And I fought it for so long and tried to power through it myself. And it just wasn't there. And it is extremely serious. And it doesn't help anything. Didn't help my family. Didn't help my relationship. It didn't help me. It didn't help my health. I was going downhill in a fucking hurry. Mm-hmm. It just, there's no upside to it.
But and it's just so interesting because I recommended a few times, like, you should go to the doctor. And I know we're like kind of anti-drugs, but I was like,
well, you're hitting your breaking point.
Well, I was like, I think you should go get on some drugs. Like, yeah. I think you should do something, right? Like whatever's happening is not working. So you need to do something. Like, I need you. Because I was even like, I don't know, like I had zero attraction to you, right? Yeah. Like I loved you, but I was like,
no, absolutely. And like, the one thing I guess looking back, kind of proud of, I didn't run to booze though, thankfully, because that was the crutch before, and that's what got me through everything. Mm-hmm. So I stayed away from that. So I mean, had to feel those feelings, I guess. But thank fuck I didn't do that because that would have been a slippery. Like I could have easily sat down and drank a case of beer every night just to numb completely out, right?
Yeah, exactly. You could have, or I mean, yeah, exactly. There's so many things.
Terrible drunk too, so that would have even just multiplied our problem. Like, yeah, you would have been long gone. Anyway,
I don't think we'd be sitting here.
No,
today,
definitely would not have been sitting here. So there is ways, but I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, people are through it, or people are in it right now, and just
so much in it.
Fucking reach out, man. Anybody, do anything.
I know, but why didn't you?
Because ego, man. Ego,
exactly.
100%.
Right?
But I hope just listening to me able to talk about this, like, it doesn't matter how fucking strong you think you are or how big you think you are. It's like, it doesn't matter. Your own mind. And it's funny when you think about it. I was thinking about that the other night. It's like your ego is the one stopping you because you think you're this big, strong person, but your own mind is doing it. Your fucking strong mind is keeping you beat down. Like it's a fight against yourself that you're going to lose because you're always going to be stronger in your own mind. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's fucked. Like it really is, but you just got to reach out to someone that just anything. Just talk to somebody, and once you even just get it out, you just realize how not silly, because it's not silly, it's fucking serious, but just how you can downplay it really fast.
Yeah, but you just build everything up so much in your head because it's like a pressure cooker, right? Like you're not expressing and you're not really feeling, you're just numbing. So it's like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it does feel like such a big problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I've never been to a point of feeling that way, but I do believe that. Like, I just know from people who have like family members who have committed suicide, where it's like your problem was never bigger than like you not being here, right?
Yeah,
like
there's a really good
like
one.
you. What is that? You I would rather stay up all night listening to your problems or listening to you vent to me or you express your feelings or whatever than go to your funeral.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like I butchered that,
no, but it's there.
There's some things along that line, right? Where it's like nothing is too big.
No, you always think these problems are big.
Burden.
Like Jordan Tutu, his brother was a big hockey player. He was playing in the minor leagues, and he was he was the first guy to ever come out of the Northwest Territories for hockey and stuff. And he got a 0.8, and he didn't know what to do, and he killed himself because he couldn't. He felt like he didn't have any options, and he was ashamed and all these things. But it's like, fuck, man, it's a 0.8. Like, I mean, it's not great. Not going to get high fives from everybody. But you walk it off. You walk it off for a year.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, then life goes on, right? Like, it's I mean, obviously who knows what else was going on, but it's just, yeah, it's not worth it.
No. And I think this is where we're really lacking in like connection of community and stuff and tribe, right? Because
just have some elders talk about that even with you, right? To people have been there and done that.
But also we have this mindset in society where we have to do it alone. Like, I don't want to be a burden. Like to ask, we talked about this a few weeks ago on the podcast about taking time alone. Like the first thought was, oh, I don't want to burden someone to babysit or, ask a favor of someone. So it's like, I think we have this like almost societal or like cultural belief now of like, well, everyone's got problems or everyone's busy, so I don't want to bother you with mine, right? So I'll just hold that in. But it's like, no, like I think honestly, if you like opened up to someone, they'd probably be like, oh, thank you. Now I can open up to someone, right? Like, it's like, I actually had a conversation with my client the other day as well about men and masculinity and how they're all holding it in that like, well, you don't be vulnerable. That's a weakness. Like, you don't share your feelings. But when one man has courage to do it, it's funny because he's like, oh, that actually feels good. But what he doesn't realize is that then he gives another man courage to do it because then they're watching you. Right. And then it's just this like ripple effect. And so I think that's like all the mental health and everything, right? Like nothing is too big. Nothing's too much of a burden for anyone. I mean, if you don't have anyone in your life, call us. Like,
100%.
100%. We want to chat with you.
We got Bluetooth on this bitch. We can talk on air if you want. No,
sit on the cozy couch and just chat.
But absolutely. Yeah. You got to get it out. That's the only way. Internalizing that did not help. And then obviously when I found that men's group and stuff like that, right? That really helped a lot too. Just to be vulnerable and be like, you just gave that example, being around men that are vulnerable. It's not like a fucking woe is me and everyone's crying and whatever else, but you're getting your feelings out and how you feel. And sometimes it is shortcomings. I'm like, how I'm not being a man, how I'm not being a father, or like the best father I can be. But then you celebrate wins too, right? As a group. And there's a lot of power in that. And it really brings you back into that masculinity. And it's a tricky dance. And especially now with everything beating us down with society and work and all these other things, we're not, be a man, but don't be too much of a man, or, you got to be nice, but don't be too nice. And it's like, what the fuck do you want from me? Right. So you got to be you. That's the only thing that's my best advice.
Essentially find your people and
find your tribe and go.
They hold you up. They love you unconditionally. And then who really gives a fuck what anyone else thinks
and
about
find
you?
people that are going to hold you accountable too. You need that kick in the ass sometimes. And that's what I like about certain men's groups or certain anything, right? Like friends groups or any, like even partnerships, right? Like we're at a point now where you're, you can just kick me in the ass. You might not have kicked me in the ribs when I was down on the couch because it was like, I don't want to send him over the edge, but to be in a healthy spot to be able to do that. Right. So no, I think, do you want to wrap it up there or what? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the kind of took a full turn here, but it's really important, right?
Absolutely.
Really important.
Absolutely. I guess it's a great topic and I think we'll reach on that more, but
yeah. And I mean, I guess ending on like the whole topic of depression and anxiety is, I guess this is fully in line because it's growing through it. So getting over I don't know if saying getting over yourself to a depressed, if I said that to you when you're depressed, you'd probably be like, fuck you. But I just mean like, honestly, as I said, you're not a burden. Nothing is a burden on anyone else. But if you can just let that like just trickle in a little bit of like, I'm going to grow through this. There's growth in this. I'm going to be okay and reach out and talk to someone because we're always growing. just whether we choose to see it or not, right?
That's perfect. Well, that's awesome, babe. I guess we're deep now. We're into our Safe and Wild program. So you update the website. So there's a waiting list now. Mm-hmm. So feel free, get on LaRocqueLife.com and check out that waiting list. And it's this will be the first call after. So it's gonna be fun. Like the group it's exciting, right? Like just with couples and helping people. And this is where we always wanted to be. And everyone always like, what do you want to do? It's like, I want to help people. Now we're finally in a position to do that. And it's fucking gratifying. It feels great. And I'm just glad all these fucking stupid experiences I've been through in my life. Well, not stupid. All these experiences I've been through in my life is finally coming to a point where we can help people and you as well. Like you're just
because you grew through it.
Nice one. But like watching you do it, just fucking amazing. It's awesome watching you in your radiance. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, enough of that, guys.
Mike's getting all teary-eyed over here.
Nah, it's fucking dusty down here. Anyway, I love you.
I love you too.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at LaRocque Life Podcast and online at LaRocqueLife.com. Ladies, find Laura on social media at Laura LaRocque and online at LauraLaRocque.com. Have a request for a show topic? We love that. Send us an email at michael@LaRocqueLife.com or DM at LaRocque Life Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.